Hey y'all, welcome back to the Southern Cottage. Today we are in my kitchen for part one of a three-part series on cocoa bombs. They were a rage last year and I made a ton of them. And I've got a ton more to make for this year. This first video is going to be basic bombs. I'm going to show you some different molds and some different chocolates to use and a couple of different ways to fill them. We're going to decorate them, and in the end, the best part's watching them explode. So I hope y'all enjoy. Stay tuned very soon for part 2 and part 3. Let's get into the video. Alright y'all, let's talk about molds first. Last year, I believe, is the first year that they were really, really big. It's the first year I'd seen them. And when I tell you I looked everywhere for the molds for the cocoa bombs, I mean everywhere. Amazon, Walmart, Hobby Lobby, Michael's. And I ended up finding something that I could use at the Dollar Tree. While I continued to look everywhere for molds. I ended up being able to purchase some actual cocoa bomb molds at the end of last year, at the end of the season. It was too late for me to use them last year, but I've definitely got them this year. So the first mold that I ever used to make cocoa bombs is a 2-part ornament from the Dollar Tree. They're absolutely perfect. They can be sanitized and cleaned, and they worked wonderful. Okay? The next mold that I found in the midst of looking for the regular cocoa bomb molds were these shaped molds. These were everywhere. That is hard water stains, y'all. This is a... what is that? Snowflake. I've got a snowman. I've got a gingerbread man. I've got a Christmas tree. We're not going to get into these this year, but there is a big learning curve this year. This video. I will definitely do another video on these. There's a learning curve to these, and you have to do them a little bit different than the regular molds. But I was able to do some of these last year. Way easier method I found by watching YouTube. And then the next mold I found was an actual silicone mold. Okay. This is for the large size bombs. Y'all, I can't tell you what size these are, but they're exactly the same size as the ornaments. Okay. These worked really, really well. We're going to use this today. We're going to use this today. And last but not least, I think this one is my absolute favorite. It is the easiest to use, and it was the hardest to get last year. I just got them. I tried them out yesterday and made some cocoa bombs for myself and my family. They work perfectly, and I'm going to tell you why they're my favorite. This is a 3-part mold. All of these other molds, with these, with this, you have to put 2 coats. This is one and done, and it is a no-fail mold. Let me show you. So 3 parts. This is the top part. Of course, this is the bottom. And these pieces right here. Okay, so what you end up doing, you see my little black line right there? I marked that because there is a line all the way around. That is your fill line. You fill it up with chocolate to that line. And where did I put my other thing? Here it is. Then you take this and drop it down in there. Give it a little bit of a press. And then you take this part and put it right back in on top. And it presses the chocolate all the way around. You flip it over and you put it in the freezer. One and done. There is no second coat. Let me show you how these work. Let's talk about the chocolate. Now, I use 3 different types of chocolate. There's way more that you can use. I use 3 because, yeah, I'm not into tempering. I don't know how to do it. I'm sure I could figure it out, but I don't want to. I don't have the time. These things work fantastic. There's no need for me to do it. So, first off, and what I use most often is almond bark. Okay? There's no almond in this. This one is white. I don't have any more of the chocolate. I've already got some melted down. I'll show you that in a minute. This is how it comes packaged. And this is what, 2 pounds? 1 pound, 8 ounces. So 24 ounces of almond bark. This melts fantastically, as you'll see. And super, super simple to work with. And it tastes good, y'all. The next thing are these meltables. These are little wafers. They come in all different colors, different flavors. This one is a pumpkin spice flavor. I don't know if I got this at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. This is a pumpkin spice flavor. I'm going to use this today. And, of course, you have the bright white, the chocolate. This is dark chocolate. And then it comes in colors. I like to use the colors. Nobody wants a big mouthful of red food coloring, okay? I use this to drizzle and decorate, okay? And then those are super simple to melt and to use. The next thing that you can always use are just chocolate chips, okay? White chocolate, I have semi-sweet, and I have dark chocolate. So, even when I use these, I don't temper. There's no need. Okay? Now, I have melted down, and all these you melt about the same way. Put them in a bowl. I put mine in the microwave for about 30, 45 seconds to start with. Give it a stir. And then put it back in for 30-second increments until it is completely melted. Once it's melted, and this is how I do a lot of bombs, y'all. I do a lot. Once it's melted, I put mine on a, what is this thing called? Flat grill. A griddle. An electric griddle. And I have it set at about 225 degrees. And that keeps my chocolate workable. It keeps it liquid enough to put in these molds. And it does not burn. These candy coatings will burn. Especially the white if you have it at too high of a temperature for too long. First thing I'm going to do, I told y'all I've already got my chocolate and my white melted. I'm going to open up this pumpkin spice and dump it into a plastic bowl. Now, I'm not going to put this on my flat grill. Dump it right in. Don't add anything to it. And I'm going to put this in the microwave for 30 seconds. Stir it. Pull it out. Put it back in for another 30 seconds if it needs it. And I'll be right back. I had this in the microwave for about 1 minute and 5 seconds. Stirring in between. And that is all nice and melted. I have my chocolate almond bark sitting on my flat grill. And it is gorgeous. I'm going to leave that there. And this is my white chocolate. This is the perfect liquidiness. Is that even a word? Perfect thinness, meltiness. Let's make up some words today, y'all. I'm going to leave those there. And we're going to start with this one. And I'm going to use... I'm starting with this one because it's not on the heat. and it's cool in here. I do not have any heat on. I don't need it on. In fact, you might hear my air conditioner going in the background. First thing you need to know about these molds, y'all. Water is the enemy of any of these. Water is the enemy. Make sure these are very clean, very dry, lint free. So I am going to take a spoonful and drop it in. And I like to hold on to it. And I'm just going to use the back of my spoon to go up the sides and make sure those edges are good and coated. Make sure you don't have any open spots in the bottom. I'm going to do the same thing for most of these. I'm going to do a couple more out of this. And then I'm going to do some chocolate because I want you to be able to see the difference in this size and the size for the 3-part mold. So I'm going to do a couple of these. You'll notice the cost of these molds are about $8. This one has 6 cavities and it's about the same size as the mold for the 3-part. The 3-part only has 3 molds in it. But the reason that I think that those are fantastic is they're one and done. These have to go for a second coat, back in the freezer. It's the same amount of time for the same amount of product. I'm going to get a little bit more. This is so thick. The texture of this is actually thicker than the white and the milk chocolate. That it doesn't all run down to the bottom. I'm not going to tap this. There's really, oh, let me tap it. Let me see what it does. I said I'm not going to tap this, but I am. And you see, this one has a lot in it. I'm going to scoop some of that out. And then I'm going to end up putting some more back in. This is why I don't tap it. I don't tap these things. I'm going to leave them alone. A little bit of extra flavor in there ain't going to hurt nobody. Clean this off a little bit, because the less mess you have at the end, the better. In fact, I'm just going to take this butter knife and go straight across and pull that excess off. I'm going to have to do this after the second coat as well. Now let's put some chocolate in here. This chocolate is way thinner. I'm going to move this out of the way. You can't see my bowl, but there you go. I'm going to go ahead and put it in both of them. I've seen some folks that will fill up their mold, and I'm just using the back of the spoon to bring it up out of the bottom to coat up these sides. I've seen them fill up their mold, do what they need to do, and then turn it over and just let the excess drip out. I don't do that either. I just leave it be. Little extra chocolate, again, never hurt anybody. Well, it might have, but it never hurt me, so I'm going to leave it alone. I'm just trying to cover these last little bits. And we got to remember, we're going to put a second coat on them. Alright, I'm going to set this to the side. I'm going to put everything in the freezer at the same time. Now let's talk about these. Y'all ignore the bottom of my cupcake pan. This sucker is well loved and well used. I am going to go ahead and do this one in the milk chocolate as well. And do the same thing. Use the back of the spoon to bring it up to the edges. These are super simple to work with because you can turn it in your hand and that's done. Put it right there And this is what they're going to sit on. They're rounded, y'all. You got to give them something to sit on. And you can use both sides of the ornament without an issue. That's the second part to that. Last thing in chocolate is the 2-part mold. I like to use one for white and one for milk chocolate. That way I can just keep using them over and over again, and I don't have to clean them out in between batches, because y'all, I'm going to be making a ton. So I am filling that up to just right at the line. And that 1 tablespoon pretty much does it for me. This is and it's not a tablespoon measure spoon. It's the big tablespoon that I'm using right now, so it's way more than an actual measured tablespoon. Get all 3 in here, and then we're going to put this thing together. This thing is so super simple. I am going to go ahead and tap this down. Okay? Now, set these right inside. You don't have to push them down too much, because the top part will do that for us. And then you take this one and set it right on top. Push it down. And then flip it over. And I am going to tap to make sure it gets all the way down. That silicone liner in there is not going to let it go any further than what it needs to. And if it does, it just pops right off at the end. Now I see a couple of little spots to see where it's not all the way down. I'm going to go ahead and tap that a little more. And they're completely covered. You're going to put it in the freezer just like this. Now I'm going to go put all these in the freezer and come back and show you. Okay, these have been in the freezer for about 5 minutes, and they are nice and set. I am going to go ahead and do the second coat on the pumpkin spice, and I'm going to concentrate on the edges, okay? And this chocolate, and I use that term loosely, it's cold. And when you put that on there, it's going to start setting up. So I'm not sure I'm going to end up putting it back into the freezer. We'll see. So I'm just concentrating on these edges. And then I'm going to go ahead and wipe this off. This one is the one that I kind of scooped out. So I'm going to get the bottom a little bit because I could see it was a little bit thin. But this is going to be our second coat, and that is way too much right in there. But I'm just concentrating on making sure that these edges are nice and thick, because that is where they are normally the thinnest, and that's where your breakage is going to occur. And y'all, this is messy, but it's all good. See, this is already set up. It's almost to the temperature where we can pull it out. So let me go ahead and do my second coat on the chocolate. Again, only concentrating on the edges. And any parts that look thin to me. Don't worry about how messy it looks. It will be cleaned up before we put anything in it and put it together. And nobody's going to see the inside, guys. Doesn't matter what it looks like. It's the outside that counts. Okay, let me set this to the side. I'm going to pull our ornaments up. Go ahead and get these edges again as well, and any light spots. And that's done. These are way simpler to me than the silicone molds. Excuse me. Now y'all, I know I'm not wearing gloves. I will be when I go to handle the actual chocolate when I pull them out of these molds, but these are going to be eaten by my family. When I make these for customers, I definitely have gloves on at all times. All right, there's those. Now let me show you the wonder of this 3-part mold. You see that was our second coat. You can tell that these are done when they start pulling away from the mold. Okay, see how it's darker right there and lighter here? It's pulled away from the mold. The way we get them out of the mold is we grab this part right here, the silicone, and y'all, look at how gorgeous that is. I'm touching the outsides of these. Let me get my gloves on. Where did I put them? Right here. Because these are absolutely beautiful, and you want as little fingerprints on the outside of these as possible. And I know I did not show you, but I went ahead and did a set in the white chocolate as well. But look, in the same amount of time it took to do 1 coat on these, I have a completed mold. And I am just pulling this away gently. It is the perfect thickness, the perfect shape. Look, those edges are perfect. And I'm going to set that right here out of the way. And then this mold is ready to use again. Again, I'm just grabbing the silicone insert, and that is what's helping me pull this bomb right out of the mold. Just gently pull it away, and you don't have to be that gentle with it. It comes off pretty simply. Another perfect mold. And the last one. Now, if some of your chocolate oozed out of these molds, then you just do this over top of your bowl, and that chocolate just goes right back in to be remelted and used. All right. Next will be our white. I'm going to go ahead and put this top back in here, keep that whole inside clean. Now the white oozed a little bit. See how it went over? But, and there's a piece right there. We're still going to lift by the silicone. And let me bring my white chocolate bowl right here. That way, whenever I peel it away, any excess chocolate goes straight down in. Okay? Well, it's sticking to the actual. Now, there it's coming. Going down into the mold. This is why the line is there. It tells you exactly how much you need. And it's a whole lot less to deal with, but y'all, that just pops right off. And anything that's left on here, it's still just about perfect. In fact, I ran my finger along it, and it is perfect. Let's get the second one out. See, this one oozed as well. I did a little bit too much in these molds. Now, I've used them 1 time, so I'm still learning. but there's really not much to learn except for only fill it to the line. And that pulled off, and it's perfect. It was still overflown. There's still some chocolate on here. We'll take care of that later. But that cocoa bomb is perfect. Here's another one, and it has a little overflow. Pull it off. And that just went right back into that bowl. That is amazing. And let me put my third part back in here just to keep these together and clean. Now let's check these. I think this is pulled away a little bit. I think this needs to go back into the freezer for just a couple of minutes. And I think I want to go ahead and do that with this one as well. And we know that this mold and this mold are exactly the same. I want to see if this will fit exactly inside, and I want to see what the difference is in the weight, so we know if we're wasting chocolate doing it this way. Because if you're doing this for a business, you need to save where you can. So once everything comes out, I'm going to put these back in the molds to see how they fit, weigh them, and then we will see which one is actually the better value for a business. Okay, I popped these in the freezer for just a couple more minutes, and I believe they are ready to come out. I'm just giving this a little bit of just a tiny squeeze, and look how that popped out. The edges are definitely rougher, and you can see where the ornament comes together. You won't be able to see that once you package it. I'm just going to, just a little bit to help it kind of loosen up, and then it slides right out, guys. I like making these my tops because there's no rim. See the difference? This one has a rim, this one does not. Okay. All right, that is our Christmas ornaments. Let's try these molds. Now I am going to just gently pull these away from the top edge. Now these are definitely going to be way messier on the top. For one, I did not clean them up. But like I said, it's going to happen whenever we melt them to put them together anyway. All right, let's pull these pumpkin spice out. So you just push at the bottom gently, and that comes right out. Okay? Just push with your hand underneath, right down. I'm going to get all the rest of these out. Now for the chocolate. All right. Now, I know I put all these in here. I'm going to check and see the weight. I'm going to make sure they all fit in here first. Had to get some of that out. And then I'm going to weigh them. So these came out of the ornaments, and they're just a touch smaller. And these came out of the 3-part molds, and they are almost, they're all almost a perfect fit, but these are just a touch smaller. So let me get my scale, and we're going to see what the difference is. All right, I have my kitchen scale, and I'm going to set it to ounces. So let's do the ones that came straight out of the silicone mold. That is 1 ounce of chocolate. This is the silicone mold as well. That's 0.9 ounces. So we're thinking 1 ounce of chocolate for these. These came out of the ornament. That is 1 ounce of chocolate. And these came out of the 3-part mold. And that's 0.8. So it uses the just like an ounce or 2 less in these. I mean, if you're doing 1,000 of them, that will add up. If you're doing it at home, it really doesn't matter. But if you're doing it as a business, it does make a difference, those ounces. Now, with the candy melts, they're thicker, and this is 1.3 ounces. So this is 1 ounce, 1.3 ounces, because of the thickness of the candy melts. And I want to show you the difference on the inside. So this is the inside of the 3-part mold. It is absolutely perfect in there. We know the inside doesn't matter. This is the inside of the silicone mold. And then this is the inside of the ornament. But y'all, when you flip them over, they all basically look the same. All right, let me clean up my mess and let's get these put together. So you're going to need something to warm up the edges of these. I am just going to use my hot plate, my electric griddle. Multi-purpose, keeps my chocolate hot, and I put down a couple of pieces of parchment. I'm going to do my chocolate over here. I'll do the pumpkin spice right here and the white over here. Just keep them all separated so they don't mix. So the first thing I am going to deal with is the white, but I don't have to deal with it because it's already perfect. Okay, time saver right there. So I'm going to go next, and I'm only doing one side of these right now. So I'm just going to put it on the hot plate and just twist it until it starts melting a little bit to melt down those edges. Okay, now that gives me a nice flat clean edge. You can take your hand, your finger, and go around to make sure there's no overlap. That's a nice clean edge. So I'm going to do 2 of these because I have 4. You can only see 3. Let me move them over a little bit so we can see everything. And then I'm going to do this one, which is way messy. And I am just twisting this around to get rid of all that excess and give me a nice, pretty flat surface. Since there was so much there, I'm going to go ahead and wipe that off so it does not impede with the connection process. Okay? Nice and flat. I'm going to wipe. Give me a paper towel here. And then I'm going to go to the chocolate. Normally, I would be doing this all one color at a time, but I'm just trying to give y'all some options. All right, these 2 came out of the Christmas ornament. They're pretty much great already, and I like to find the ones that have the deepest well available, and that's going to be my bottom. Since this one's already pretty much perfect around the edge, I'm not going to heat that one up. These came out of the silicone mold. This has the deepest well in it available, so I'm going to go ahead and clean off those edges to get a good base. Take my finger and wipe all the way around. Nice and flat. Now comes the fun part. This video I'm just showing you basics. So I am going to use these Swiss Miss. I bought these at the Dollar Tree. You get 6 of them for $1. And I'm going to open one pack and put it inside each one of the cavities that we just cleaned up. And it fits nice and perfect in there. And I'm going to go ahead and fill all the ones that I need to. So when we get ready to melt and put together, that's all we have to do. And I don't have enough to do all of them. Oh well. I'll only do one of the pumpkin spice. Let's do that one. And these already have the dehydrated marshmallows in them, but I am going to go ahead and add some more of the mini marshmallows. Now, for my business, I buy the dehydrated marshmallows in bulk. I just wanted to show you guys what you can do with what you have. You don't have to buy in bulk. It's not expensive, and it's super simple. Okay? Now, if you wanted to at this point, you could add flavorings. That is going to come in video part 2. And then I'm just grabbing a handful, and whatever I can get to fit in here is what's going in here. And you just want to make sure that they stay away from the edges, because you need to get a good seal on these. And I'm going to pile mine up in the middle, because I like a lot of marshmallow. I mean, who doesn't? Couple more, and then we're going to put these together. And honestly, I'm not sure you're going to be able to tell a difference once they all come together, what molds we ended up using. The difference comes in the work to get it there. Okay, I'm going to start with the white, because my hands are decently clean. I like to hold this and dump out a marshmallow, because whenever I get this warmed up and ready to go, I want to be able to hold it together, look all the way around it, and make sure everything is sealed. So I'm going to set it right here. I'm going to get that good and hot and melty on the edges, and then bring it right over and set it directly on. And then I'm going to take my finger and go right around and make sure there's no excess oozing out and there's no holes. And that bomb is done. See how perfect that is? Let's do this one right here. See how I picked that one? So, same thing on this. And this is cleaning up these edges as we go, plus it's melting the chocolate to allow it to seal. And you can give it a little bit of pressure, not a whole lot, because you don't want to break it. Now see, here's my problem, right there. But everything is fixable, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. The heat from your hand will kind of help. There's a lip there. You see that? If you don't mind it, which my family doesn't, then leave it be. But what you don't want are these gaps. So I'm going to take my finger and dip it onto what was melted to seal these together and fill in those holes. You really want a good airtight seal on these, and they will last a long time. They will last as long as the ingredients that you use. So I'm just using this in my finger to go along the edges. I don't know if y'all can hear my dog outside and my husband. So that one did not come out as perfect, but that's all right. It's going to taste just fine. Let's go to the chocolate now. These are the ones that came out of the 3-part mold. You can't really see this here, and I can't adjust my camera, so I'm just melting that top and setting it directly on. Make sure it's even. Hold it there for just a second. Take your finger and go all the way around. Make sure there's no gaps and there's no oozing chocolate. Okay? Done. And these came out, this came out of the ornament. Just melt that down. Set it right on top. And just go all the way around with your finger. Same process with everything. See, there's a little tiny hole in there. I don't know how well you can see that, but I'm just going to take that chocolate that's on my finger and fill that thing up. It doesn't go all the way through. If it did, then we would have some powder coming out. All right, that one is sealed. And the last one is the one that came out of the silicone mold. Melting it down, setting it on top. Go around with your finger. Make sure there are no holes, which right there, again, I'm going to take a little bit of my melted chocolate and just seal that right up. All the way around. And that one is done. Let me clean up again and we'll come back and do a little bit of decoration. Okay, I have recovered my work surface, or I put a piece of parchment down because I'm still going to be working once this video is finished. I've got a lot more bombs to make and I want to be able to just throw this away and keep working. So I am going to start with using just a cupcake liner. And I'm just going to set it right down in. Both of these came out of the silicone molds. I'm lying. This one came out of the silicone mold. This one came out of the 3-part mold. I went ahead and while I was getting cleaned up, I grabbed another hot cocoa mix and went ahead and filled that. This one came out of the Christmas ornament. And this one was from the 3-part mold. Now, I have some chocolate in, this is a squeeze bottle. You get them 2 for $1 at Dollar General. Actually, they were $1.50 for 2, so 75 cents each. I use a lot of these, so I don't mind spending that. But if you don't want to, put you some melted chocolate in a Ziploc bag. And before you do anything with that, make sure you have your sprinkles ready. I buy big containers of sprinkles. These are just some generic Christmas colored sprinkles, red, white, and green. And then you can use sanding sugar. These are the flat discs, more sanding sugar, the nonpareils, and jimmies. So I am going to go ahead and just use these today. So let me get this open. I already have some of these open, but not right here. You want to have these ready because this chocolate is going to be not sticky pretty quick after you drizzle it on. So I'm going to just use, I'm going to use chocolate on both of these, and then I'm going to use the chocolate on top of this one. And then I'll use white on these 3. So let me put my chocolates together, make this easier on me. And this has a tiny hole in it. So I am just going to squeeze it out and just put a drizzle and just go all the way across it. And then before that chocolate sets up, I'm going to take a few of these sprinkles and sprinkle it right on top. Super cute, super simple, and absolutely delicious. Now let's do this white chocolate. I'm going to separate these a little bit. Excuse me. And then I'm just going to cut the tiniest hole in the bottom of this Ziploc bag, because you don't want that chocolate coming out too quick. And do the same thing. Just give it a little bit of pressure and drizzle. Set it down, put you some sprinkles. That is it. These bombs are done. Now comes the fun part. Now we get to have our cocoa bomb. So, I'm going to drop it in here and try not to break it. There. It's down inside my mug. These bombs are really big. And I have heated 1 cup or 8 ounces of milk in the microwave. Let me get a spoon. And we are going to watch this magic happen, guys. Slowly pour it over. And there it goes. How cool is that? Give it a stir. Okay. It's time to taste this. I am super excited. Oh, wow. That has a lot of the pumpkin spice flavor. If you like pumpkin spice, that's delicious. Oh, yeah. All right, don't be like me. When you microwave your milk, pay attention to it. I was trying to adjust the camera, and milk's all over my microwave, so now I have to clean it. And, okay. That is your basic hot cocoa bomb with basic decorations. Pretty much basic flavors. This is part 1 of an at least 3-part series. You will not have to wait long, because I'm going to film all of these at the same time so I can get them uploaded all this week. Part 2 is going to be different flavor combinations for your cocoa bombs. And part 3 is packaging and pricing. So anyway, thank y'all so much for joining me. I hope you make some cocoa bombs. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite flavors are, and we'll see if they come up in the next video. Y'all have a good one. Bye.